Ever wanted to do this? I can remember getting my first running watch and being amazed that I knew exactly how far and how fast I was going all the time. And these days you can even pay for a cab home, listen to music and take phone calls on your watch. But sometimes that clever little voice on your wrist in the form of a chip can overstep the line a little bit. Have you ever finished a run that was easy, felt effortless and so enjoyable, only to be shot down by your watch when you save that activity for it to tell you that you were either in the red zone, unproductive or even de-training? Hardly the most encouraging words to hear, and I know from experience that this can really start to alter your own perception of how you actually feel. A great run quickly turns to doubts creeping in, and you soon start to question not only your fitness but also your judgment. If you're new here, I'm Phily, 234 marathoner, elite GB athlete and running coach, and I'm going to take you through the different arguments for and against ditching that running watch so that you can decide for yourself whether it's really time to break up with your trusty GPS companion and run free without any feedback from technology. So it's quite good timing actually. I've just had a cold myself, so I'm going for a long run today without the watch. And to start off with, I'm going to take you through the compelling reasons why you should ditch the watch and run free of technology. So the first thing I've noticed is how much I've really come to rely on my watch as an extension of my own body when I'm running. I've looked down at my naked wrist about 6 times already on this run, and I know I just went past the 2 mile point, so I'm almost looking for that kind of validation or reassurance that I'm running somewhere around the right pace. There's nothing there other than the slight glimmer of a tan line from the summer, but what that does is it takes away all pressure that you can put on yourself, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. And when you're coming back from time off, be that an injury, an illness, or just a break from running, it's a really healthy thing to do, because it's not realistic to come back in and hit the same paces, even for your easy runs, as you were before, because your body's not adapted. So lose the watch, lose the pressure. And another thing that happens is you see a lot more of what's around you. I'm not looking down every 7 or 8 minutes when my watch beeps to find out what the kind of irrelevant number was on this easy long run. I'm looking up, taking in my surroundings, and kind of just appreciating the environment a little bit more. I've definitely noticed things that I haven't seen before on a pretty regular run route, and it's really nice to just be appreciating the route that I'm running, appreciating nature without looking down at my wrist every 5 or so minutes. And if you've done this recently, run without a watch, and maybe noticed something that you haven't before, or just felt different, whether that's in a good or a bad way, let me know in the comments section below. And whilst you're there, hit the thumbs up button and give this video a like. It's a free way to support the channel, and it really means a lot to me. Now, one of the strongest reasons, in my opinion, why you should try ditching the watch is that it really teaches you to run by feel. And this is something that I really hammer home to my athletes, learning to run by feel and what feels easy, rather than relying on what the watch thinks. So let's say my typical easy run pace is 7:30 minute miling. Most of the time, that's what my easy runs are at. But some days, I might genuinely need to run a whole minute per mile slower, hitting 8:30 minute milings. And my watch isn't gonna know that I had a really stressful day at work, I've hardly slept, I've just eaten my lunch, or maybe it does these days. You shouldn't let your watch dictate how you actually feel, and taking it out of the equation means that you can really tune into how you actually feel and not overdo it. And obviously, if you're not wearing a watch, you're not gonna be able to get any of that nasty negative feedback that I spoke about earlier. I'm gonna finish this long run, and there'll be no one telling me that it was unproductive, I was overreaching, or that my VO2 max has all of a sudden decreased. And so long as you're tuning into how you feel, so you're not clearly overreaching, then you'll probably be happier without that negative feedback. You can also just run. Take out all technology if you want to. Leave your phone at home, your watch and your headphones. And I did this a few months ago for a few days in a row, and to start off with, I was bored. I think I'd been trying to distract myself from the fact that I was just putting one foot in front of the other, which ultimately is what running is, by listening to music or podcasts. But after a while, I was amazed at the headspace it gave me. That's one thing that running is really amazing at doing. So you can just completely zone out and clear your head, or use it to completely zone in. Start planning something, think of new ideas, and just use the run for what you need to use it for, depending on where your head's at. Now, for the watch lovers and the skeptics amongst you, of course I have to recognise the value of wearing a watch. When I asked my subscribers a few days ago, 84% of you said that you never choose to leave your watch at home, although some of you choose to not look at it at times. I am going to talk about a few of the downsides to ditching the watch altogether, along with some helpful solutions that you can try that gives you the best of both worlds. And then after that, for those of you that are still undecided, I'm going to provide you with a really useful tool that you can use to answer the question, when should I ditch the watch and leave it at home, and when do I really need to keep it on? So stick around for that. So obviously a big downside is that without my watch on today, I had no idea what my heart rate was or what zone I was in for that easy long run. So if you're through and through I train by heart rate, or you're using the Maffetone method, it's not gonna work for you. And if this is your style of training, that's fine, but you obviously need to know what heart rate zone you're in or where your heart rate is. And I'm not sure you can run along and figure out what your pulse is by having your finger on your wrist or on your neck. I just can't see it working. So the heart rate trainers amongst you, you win. I find no solution to this one, but I think it's the only downside that I don't have a solution for. Now, if you're a bit of a watch skeptic anyway, or you literally never wear one, you might be at another disadvantage in that it's harder to train your built-in clock without having the clock or watch on your wrist some of the time. And this is because wearing a watch builds up your judgment of what different paces and different speeds feel like. And this is something that comes quite naturally to me. I think I'm quite good at this. You could tell me to go and run a 5:40 minute mile or a 6:20 minute mile, and I'd probably get it within a couple of seconds. But that's something that you have to train over time, and it's something that you need to have a watch on to be able to learn. I would not have any clue what those paces mean or what they feel like if I hadn't had the reinforcement over the years of wearing the watch, running a 5:40 mile, looking at my watch and understanding that that's the number that goes with how that feels. Another big pull for keeping that watch firmly on your wrist is a seemingly obvious one. You can't track your mileage. Either to follow a structured plan that peaks you for key races, builds up your mileage towards a marathon, or slowly builds you back in after a break, or just because you're a bit of a neat freak and you can't bear the thought of finishing a run on 4.92 miles or 5.18 miles rather than a nice round 5. I see you, the Strava neat freaks that finish on a round number for every single run. However, you can solve this in two easy ways. One, hide the watch. Put it further up on your arm, cover it up with your sleeve, shove it in your sports bra and your shorts, or put it around your ankle. I don't care. Just hide it so you can't look at it. And number two, run a route that you know the distance of. So either run the route with the watch so that you know it's 5.5, 6 miles, or plot it on a website before you go and memorize that route. So by hiding the watch, you can pretend that you're not wearing it and get all of those benefits, but you can still geek out on all the data when you get home, when you finish the training. So if you love the race predictions, the fitness insights, knowing what your zones are, you can still have all of that, but it's there when you get back from the run, not during. I also know that there are plenty of you out there that are of the mindset, if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen. And while this can be a lighthearted joke at times, it can be very easy to get drawn into posting on Strava and Instagram to show other people that you've run, be that for the likes and the kudos, or just because you need some sort of external gratification to make you feel good that you've run. Or maybe you just like having a Strava streak. If this sounds like you, I'd challenge you to go for just one run without the watch and not upload anything to Strava. And I'll let you into a little secret. Nothing bad happens if the run doesn't go on Strava. I know, it's crazy, right? But seriously, if you're that tied up to posting and sharing your runs, it's a good time to ask yourself why you're even doing it. Is it important that other people really see that run? And is it worth losing all of those benefits of running without the watch and without the pressure occasionally? I promise you that your legs will believe that the run happened, even if Strava doesn't. Quick intermission of today's video to take an ice bath and to thank the sponsor of today's video, Coros. Jesus! Now, I couldn't think of a better sponsor for today's video than my watch, because I've talked to you about the benefits of ditching the watch and the benefits of keeping a watch, but to be honest, I can't take this thing off. The data that I get from it is super useful. So currently my watch is telling me that I'm 91% recovered and I'm ready for hard training, which is pretty accurate. I've just been doing easy runs over the last few days, so it literally knows how I'm feeling. It's telling me what my fatigue level is, my base fitness and my load impact, but 9 times out of 10 it's right. I am wearing this watch whilst I sleep, so it knows what my resting heart rate is. It's telling me what the quality of my sleep is as well, which is kind of mind-blowing really. And if this isn't enough information for the data geeks amongst you, they have their own app and the Coros Training Hub as well, where there is so much data that you can geek out on. It's kind of overwhelming, but it's also really interesting to see the insights and how your watch thinks you're doing fitness-wise. And to say that I literally never charge this watch is an understatement. I probably remember to put it on charge once every fortnight and it has never died on me. The battery life of this watch is seriously impressive. Another huge thanks to Coros for sponsoring this video. Time is finally up, so back to the video. And now for the useful tool that I promised you earlier on, and this will make it really simple and really easy to decide when to ditch the watch and leave it at home, and when you really should keep it on. And this is going to make it really simple, and it's what I use to decide whether I wear the watch or whether I leave it at home that day. Effort-based, ditch the watch. Heart rate, pace, splits, keep it on. So by effort, I'm talking easy runs, a 2 to 3 out of 10, or hard reps up a hill, a 7 to 8 out of 10, anything that's based on how you feel and the intensity, but not being tied to a metric that you need your watch for. So if you're doing a cross-country fartlek and it should just feel hard, or you're doing an easy run and it should just feel easy, anything that you do that is feel-based, and maybe you want to take a stopwatch with you so that you can do 5-minute reps that feel hard. If you don't need the pace or the metrics, you can do it without the watch, and for most easy runs, you don't need your watch. And again, if you want the data when you get home, so you want to know how fast you were running up a hill or how fast you were doing a rep, you can keep the watch on, but just hide it. And of course, for sessions and runs that are dependent on your pace, you really want to make sure that you're definitely running easy enough or fast enough, focusing on tempo, sprints, splits, anything that needs the data. Obviously wear the watch. But I would also say that know that this data doesn't define you. You might need it on for a tempo, but if you're running a bit slower than usual for that day for tempo, try and separate the watch with what is success, because you're still getting out there and doing it, and not every day is going to be a day that you set the world on fire. If you like this video, I think you'll enjoy this one, where I raced the 5,000 meters at the British Championships this summer, and you'll notice that I wasn't wearing my watch during that race, so go and check that out. And lastly, I want to say a huge shout out to my patrons. Your support means so much to me. It is a huge help, and if you want to check out my Patreon, it's linked in the description below. Love the grind, love your watch, sometimes.